Welcome to Joyride with Expatriates. In this show, we bring every month a different person to talk about their expatriation processes and experiences, how to manage cultural differences, and how to become an effective individual while living abroad. Hi, I'm Tatyana Fittipaldi. In this channel, we make videos to help global leaders become more productive and effective and improve their leadership, both in business and in life. If that sounds for you, click that subscribe button now. And please give it a like and share with your friends. Today we will have the pleasure to talk with Stef Rotariu. Stef was born in Romania and she is an environmental science graduate, but has been working as a freelance digital marketing specialist for several years now. As a digital marketing specialist, she loves the fact that she can combine her passion for science with her creative side to help businesses grow. This career choice allowed her to follow her passion for traveling, and she now changes the country every 6 to 10 months. Together with her partner, Stefriu, she founded a digital marketing agency and started a blog documenting their journey around the world. She currently lives in Sweden with her partner. Please join me in welcoming Stef Rotariu to our show. Stef, welcome to our show. I'm so glad to have you here. Thank you very much for coming today.
Hi, Tati. Thank you very much for having me. It's very exciting to be here with
I'm
you.
excited too. I'm very excited. So how about you tell us, let's start by telling us where did you come from and what did you do before in your original country?
Right. So I'm originally from Romania. That's an Eastern European country. I actually left my country at a very young age. So straight after high school, I did 1 year of university of veterinary medicine, actually. And I dropped out and decided to move to the UK for the first time. So back in Romania, I was mostly a student. And then after some time, I returned to Romania and finished my studies in another field. And I worked on the side during my studies, and I have done several types of jobs. I was a science teacher actually for a while, for a year or so. I used to work in a bookstore, and I also at some point I worked in developing an Amazon business with my partner, and this is where I've started my digital marketing journey.
Wow, that's very diverse. It's a many experiences in a short time. I'm absolutely amazed. And tell me what. So you mentioned that you moved from Romania in a young age. Why did you decide to, what drove you to move to a new country?
I always wanted to experience being a student in a different country. That was a dream of mine since high school, and I didn't have the chance straight away after finishing it. And then an opportunity came for me to move to the UK and try to get into university there. I've been accepted there. It's just while being there for a year and working, I've realized that it's very difficult for me to support myself through university, through 3 years of university and working as well. So I kind of gave up on that idea and returned home and started university again at home, back in Romania. So that was my first
Experience.
First experience abroad. Yeah.
And then you finished your university, and then you decided to move again.
Yeah, so I finished 3 years of university in environmental science in Romania, and then straight after I finished those, I moved to Scotland with my partner. the reason is really because I really wanted to see Scotland, and I really wanted to experience that. And I enjoy traveling a lot, so I'm quite open-minded about doing these types of moves. Um,
And
and
plus, Scotland is beautiful, right?
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and I'm really glad I got to experience it. We lived there for a year, I think, doing different types of jobs and growing our business on the side as well. So just we were working full time all the time and just growing our business in our spare time. Um, so it was a nice experience, but we still got to see the country, and then we had to move to Sweden. This is more recently. We've been here for, I think, 7 months now. So yeah, there's quite a lot of moving around in my life.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And so you mentioned a little bit already about how your new business, your digital marketing business came about. So tell me a little bit about what you do today.
Yeah, so as I've mentioned, I'm not, I've trained in a different field, so I'm an environmental scientist per se, but I've discovered this passion for digital marketing in my second year of university when I started attempting to grow an Amazon business. And I really discovered the depths of digital marketing, so I really got into that. And now I think I'm in my fourth or fifth year of doing this, and I've really grown a lot. I've really learned a lot, and I've had many happy customers along the way that I've worked with. Some of them I'm still working with to this day, and yeah, it's been a great journey to discover what you actually like to do, because usually you come straight out from the high school years, and you have to, decide on a career, and you're pressured to decide on a career, and not all the time you realize what you actually want to do. Digital marketing was great for me because it combines everything I'm passionate about. I like being creative, and you get to be really creative while doing digital marketing. I like to write a lot, and you get to do copywriting a lot with digital marketing. And I like science, and there's also like the statistics part of it. So it really combines everything I'm passionate about in a very nice way. So
Yeah, and I can hear
yeah,
in your voice how passionate you are about this. So indeed a perfect combination of science and creativity. So it's I can see how you like it so much, and I can see how your customers also like it so much because you're so passionate that I am absolutely sure that you give your very best. So yeah. So you mentioned already that you had, many experiences in Scotland and now in Sweden. So tell me a little bit about, since you moved from Romania, how was your adaptation in each of these places? Tell us a little bit about your adaptation.
well, depending on the country, it's challenging to move, but it's not difficult to adapt if you keep your mind open, and if you really want uh, to if you really want to adapt, then you can do it. You're gonna have challenges, so that's one thing that you need to keep in mind all the time. It's not going to go smooth, probably, even if you're, informed beforehand. You did your homework, so you know everything about what needs to be done, but you're still going to face challenges one way or another. So you need to be prepared for that. But if you look at it as a way to learn something new, then this might be, helpful.
An
Um,
opportunity.
yeah, exactly. And again, if there's a language barrier, I haven't experienced the language barrier until moving to Sweden. So before, I just moved to Scotland, to the UK. That's an English-speaking country. It was easy for me. There was no language barrier. I could speak, in the supermarkets. I could speak everywhere. It was easy. It was like being back in Romania. But now in Sweden, there is a language barrier. even if most of them speak English. For example, in the supermarkets, you don't have the English version on the product, so they just have like Swedish, Finnish, and Danish, and yeah, you don't really know what you're buying. To be honest. But there's many other situations in which you encounter this language barrier. So when you don't know the language of the country you're moving into, it can be a bit more challenging to deal with everything that needs to be done. So this is why I recommend to just try and get in touch with people from your country that are already living there. And this is like social media is a good way to find these people. There are usually groups of people from different nationalities that are living. For example, in Stockholm, there are groups of Romanian people that are living there, and you can always join, and they're usually helpful, and explain things to you, things that you might never even thought about. So yeah.
So that's an interesting and good tip. So basically, you're saying we should leverage the people that already are there, and they and help use them as a help to learn things and understand the things and even give us supermarket tips.
Yeah, no, actually, it's for my every move I had someone that I communicated with that was already living there, and just it helped me a lot. And even if they don't provide necessarily useful information, they even a moral support, like there's someone who actually made it, there's someone who's doing great just now there. So if they did it, then that means that I can do it.
Do it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So it's a confidence boost, really. It helps you a lot in many ways. Yeah.
So that's an interesting. So piggybacking on this confidence topic, you mentioned to me offline that during one of your adaptations you felt a little gloomy. During one of your adaptations. So I was interested. And before we go ahead, let me say having worked with so many expatriates, I can see that this is supernatural. This happens with everyone once in a while. So I thought that people would be very delighted to know what strategies did you use to overcome this gloominess, let's put it this way, so that you could continue to be productive. You do a lot of things, you work, you travel, you do a lot of things. So what strategies did you use to continue to be productive?
Right. So as I said, I'm quite open-minded about moving around a lot, and it was easy to me up until we moved to Sweden, because I think the main reason why it was so difficult for me was the language barrier. Probably that's the first reason, and then the context in which we came over, because we had to come over here on short notice, on very short notice. We had to move over because we lost our day jobs back in Scotland. So we had to, relocate really fast. So we left Scotland. We left all of our stuff there. We just left with a backpack each of clothes. So everything put together, it was quite weird experience. Yeah, it was a bit stressful. And here it's a bit more different than in the UK. It's a bit more different. It's a bit more difficult to find a place to rent, for example. They have different requirements. They're more exigent, let's say. You have to have a job here. You have to have a personal identification number in order to actually get rent. So it was a lot of stressful factors that came into play. But yeah, what I did really in the first month or so, I didn't do too well in coping. To be fair, I just stayed in the room we rented. I just stayed inside, and yeah, I didn't have a great time. But I realized that you know I can't go on like that, and I have to keep my mind open. So I tried to find different activities that I could do to just keep myself busy. So I try to give myself work, and I try to realize that you know I need to work for myself first, and then the rest will come if I get that sorted. And so I started really focusing on my work. I found an internship here, which I joined. It was part-time and it was online because of the Corona times. And so that helped me, you know, get a feel of the culture as well, because I worked with people that were from all over the place. Most of them lived in Stockholm, but they were from the UK. They were from India, from Asia, from lots of places, and that helped me a lot. And just really focusing on my work, I think that was the thing that made me snap out of it, probably. Um, yeah.
So basically, it sounds like the way the strategy you came up with was, you know, to immerse yourself in something that was productive in itself, so that you could snap out of it, and also, of course, have these connections. Sounds like it also helped you a lot.
Yes, and of course it helped me a lot. The fact that I wasn't alone here, so we moved together. I moved with my partner, so it was easy. It was easier because I had someone to communicate with all the time. So that helped a lot. So just if you're struggling and if you have a moment of, you know, this isn't great, just try. Probably the best way to get past it is try to communicate with someone. And yeah, I think communication is super important. Just keep the connections with your friends alive, even if they're back home, you know, just by phone call or, you know, social media. Just keep them alive and keep in touch with them and communicate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fabulous tip. Connection always, you know, helps us, and they're our friends in the end of the day. So they usually are very supportive. So I think it's an awesome tip. That's so true. And it sounds like so you are a very busy person. Like you have a lot of work, you have a lot of friends coming from all over the place and different time zones. So you seem to be a very busy person. So tell me, what do you do to manage your time so effectively?
Well, I'm having off days sometimes, especially if I'm feeling down, as I did, you know, at first here, when you're feeling gloomy or when you have, you know, a bit of a struggle, then you're probably not gonna manage your time as well. And I'm not great at, you know, doing that to begin with. But my work day is usually like I start from around 7 or 8 a.m. up until, you know, 4 p.m. more or less. And if I want to be really productive that day, so I need to get something done for the week. What I use, and it really works for me, I'm not sure if it's the right way to do it, but is I use a timer. So I'm setting the timer for what I use is 30 minutes of work and then 10 minutes of break time. And I just use that. Google has this feature, and I just use that one or on my phone. And when the alarm rings, so I just stop and I take a 10-minute break. And then when the alarm rings again, I start again. And I find like these smaller chunks of time make you more productive, because you actually try to get more done in the 30-minute time frame, because you don't really want to leave it for the next 30-minute time frame and so on. So it really helps you get organized and stay on the task.
That's
I can do
fabulous.
that.
Did you know that that's called Pomodoro technique? It's called a Pomodoro
No,
technique.
I just what I did, I was trying to figure out, like, well, when I was in school, used to be productive for like the 50-minute time frame that we had, and then we had a 10-minute break, and then another 50 minutes of productiveness, and that worked. So I'm just going to give it a try now, and yeah, it turns out it works. So I just,
It's very effective. Absolutely. It's very, very
yeah.
effective. Good. Thank you so much for sharing. And what I thought to talk about next would be about your digital marketing work, because, you know, when we first talked offline, I thought, oh, maybe Stef could give us, you know, some tips to expatriates on how to leverage digital marketing to, you know, to help them when they're stuck, when they're overwhelmed. You mentioned briefly a little bit about that. Oh, if you have friends, etc., use, you know, use the social media, etc. So, do you have any tips on how to do it?
Yeah, well, Facebook is really resourceful in that area, actually, because of the groups. So always, so if you're on Facebook, just look for groups that might be helpful for you. So start from looking for groups uh, of people from your own country that are currently living in the country you're trying to relocate to. So for me, for example, I'm looking for groups for Romanian people living in Stockholm, and then join them and try to, you know, try to either look for useful questions and answers, useful links that are shared there, or just, you know, ask a question myself. Yeah, and then if you're looking for a job, you can always look for groups for jobs in the certain country
In
or the
that
certain
location.
city. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And also, if you're struggling with staying productive, or just if you're struggling with being, you know, overwhelmed with the move, there are groups for that as well. So there are support groups, as they say, and usually it's people with this that are going through the same experience as yourself, and they're just supporting each other. And I think it's great to be in communities that do that.
That's awesome, Steph. It's a very good. So basically, you said, you know, find groups with the same community or affiliation, either, you know, from your country or the language that you speak. Search for groups to help you find jobs, and then also, you know, search for a group of interests. Let's put it this way: the same set of interests. That's a fabulous idea. Do you see any other tips besides Facebook that people can also maybe leverage to the social media to help them, you know, not cope, but, you know, immerse themselves in the culture?
Um, uh, Facebook will be my to go. There's, of course, it depends on what social media platform you're using most often. Um, Instagram has the hashtag features that you can look for a certain hashtag. For example, if you're moving to Stockholm area, you can just use the Stockholm hashtag and search
Search for that. That's
yeah,
a good
exactly.
tip. Good tip.
And otherwise, there's YouTube. If that can be considered a social media channel, I think it can be. Um, you can always, like, look for videos of people um, that are either being helpful. Like, usually if you're going on YouTube and look for, you know, motivation, find the motivation to, you know, get a task done, and you find this person that you really like how they speak, you really like what they're saying. Usually if you go and search for that person, so you find them on YouTube, but you go and search for them on Facebook, you will find them, you will also find their community that you can probably join in order to, you know. So
That's a
it's a way
fabulous
to,
idea. Yeah, no, that's a fabulous idea. So go to YouTube, find the people you relate to,
exactly.
search, where they're hanging out in Facebook. That's a fabulous idea. Yeah, awesome.
So even if YouTube is not a social media a platform per se, it can be, used as a,
Leveraged.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's an awesome tip. So talking about skills, I'd like, because what happens is when you go to a new country, usually you're the new kid on the block, right? So nobody knows you, and usually you have to prove yourself to the people around you, either for the job or you have to sort of prove yourself. So I was wondering if, based on your experiences, the fact that you've been in more than one country, if you could share with us, what skills do you think someone has to develop in order to be able to adapt to this changing routine of moving to different countries?
Yeah, I think you really need to keep an open mind all the time. Like, try, even if it's hard sometimes. You need to try and keep an open mind, um, and just realize where you are in the eyes of the people you're communicating with, um, and then it comes the second important skill, which is communication. You really need to be able to communicate in some way. So if you're moving there and you don't know the language, um, start learning it whenever you can, as early as possible. So if you're considering moving now, just start learning at least the
In
basics.
advance.
And yeah, and if not, then so that would be the main problem. Like, the communication will be probably a bit of a struggle. Um, but just, you need to come across as reliable. For example, me coming from Romania into a Western European world, we're not really seen as, great people. So upfront, if someone hears that you're Romanian, they're like, oh, okay. Because we have this background, these minorities that come over, and they're usually not behaving very well in Western European countries. So we come from that background, really. So their trust in us is already pretty low where we begin. So we just really need to make our way up and earn their trust a lot. And usually the people see that you're trustworthy when you do your job well, when you're able to communicate well, when you're being polite. Even just being polite, gives you this
This upper hand.
bonus point, yeah, I guess, in the eyes of other people. So yeah, I think even just as little as being polite, trying to be helpful, even if you don't really understand, but you're seeing, for example, an elderly person in the bus that needs a seat, so you just give yours. So you don't have to know the language to do that. You just do the gesture. So things like that, earn your trust there, and yeah.
These are fabulous tips, Steph. So being reliable, communicating well, making sure you're polite and helpful, and of course being open-minded. So that these are fabulous tips. Thank you so much for sharing them. So we're very close to the end of our interview here. So as I mentioned to you offline, we are about to launch a deck of cards to help people improve their mind resilience, right? When they're in that state of overwhelmed and they feel that things are out of control. So this deck intends to help people, exercise their resilience and how they feel about being in control. So I was wondering if you're up to do a reading session with me. So basically, I would share a card with you, and you read the card, and whatever comes to your mind, you share and tell us about it. How about that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It sounds really exciting. I'm very curious.
So I chose a card randomly for you. I hope you relate to the card. So let me share the screen here real quick.
I decide what to believe in. I am in control of my life. Distinguishing the false from the real is natural to me through my acute sight, perception, and intuition. Yeah, this actually is real. It applies to me for when I moved to Sweden. As I said, I really struggled and I was feeling really stuck with myself and my career. I actually attempted finding a job here. Um, and, it was really hard because I kept receiving just negative responses. They were declining. Actually, they weren't even reading my application because I wasn't Swedish really, and they really look for Swedish people. And I knew I had this entire experience behind me. I had like 4 years in digital marketing, and I was applying even on entry-level jobs, and I couldn't get any job, and I was feeling really down about it. But I really thought, I have the experience. I know I have it. That's my truth. So it doesn't matter what people around me are saying, because I know I'm worth. I know my work is valuable, and just that's my truth, and I'm going to keep believing in myself. So the job responses aren't really relevant right now. It's just probably um, a subjective decision of theirs. So yeah.
That's fabulous. And Steph, I'd like to congratulate you because this shows a strong personal resilience, and also shows that your sense of worth is being inner driven. You're saying, I'm worthy, whether or not people can see it or not. That's their problem. I know that I'm worthy. So I just want to congratulate you because this shows a very strong sense of self and worth. So, and it's not easy to have that. It's not easy to have this attitude. So I really wanted to congratulate you on that. And thank
Thank
you
you
so
very much.
much for sharing this story. I think a lot of people, a lot of expatriates can relate with that. Going to a new country and having a super strong background. Being coming from strong universities and having a strong education, and just because you weren't born in that place, you are not being considered. So it's tough for everyone that lives through that. So I want you to also congratulate for passing through that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's hard, but once you manage to do it, I think it's good to think like that. It's healthy, I think.
Yes.
And it was actually the point where I decided to invest full time in my business and in myself, and just it's time to just put all the cards in myself, just bet on myself. And yeah, it's I think it's great.
And that's how you show how open-minded you are. You said, okay, so this opportunity is not working. what can work, what can I make work, right? And that's a way we can be open-minded. So that's a
Yeah,
fabulous
exactly.
story. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you so much, Stef, for being here, sharing your story with our viewers. I am so glad and so thankful to you. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much for having me here. I really enjoyed this interview. I think the questions were great. I enjoyed answering them, and it even made me think, um, deeper on what I'm actually doing right now. And I think it's great to have this kind of introspection and figure out tiny bit about your own life.
True, that's very true. Thank you so much, Steph. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much.